Hey guys, welcome back to the Oddpal YouTube channel. Before I get started in this video, I want to first wish you a happy 2025. 2024 was a year where I first really started making YouTube videos on this channel, and by the end of the year, it's gotten over 2,000 subscribers. I couldn't have done it without you, and I want to sincerely thank you for your support. I'll keep putting out quality content in the year to come. Also, thank you for all unanimously letting me know that watches do not belong in supersonic cleaners. I promise to not do it again. I will say that I found it pretty funny how one of you guys commented that this is the reason why you'll never buy a watch used, and I totally understand that. My fault, man. My Black Bay 58 is still running pretty fine, gaining about 2 seconds a day, but I put it on my buddy's time grapher and the beat error and deviancy is looking pretty atrocious. I don't know exactly what the numbers mean, but according to him, it's not good. Although I don't think I'll bring it in for service anytime soon because it's back on the bracelet. I'm happy with it. I still wear it. I rotate it between my Oyster Perpetual 36 with the bright black dial and the Black Bay 58. My Hydronaut, I still need to make a trip to downtown to go get the N-Link replaced, but I'm pretty content with my 2-watch rotation right now. I don't really think I want to really pick up any new watches unless I get the call for the 126, 234 Slate dial, Wimbledon, Datejust on Jubilee. But it's a pipe dream for now. Maybe it'll come before 2025 Christmas if I put out enough videos. Maybe the AD will surprise me with a Christmas gift. But in this video, I want to first talk about what makes Japanese watch magazines so elite. Here I have the Explorer magazine that I brought back from Japan now about 3-4 months ago. And in this magazine, it goes into detail about every single Explorer model, Explorer 1 and Explorer 2, from the 6350 all the way to the latest. I think the latest one is the two-tone 36. There's a lot. There's like 9 or 10 different reference numbers, and a couple of them have like Mark 1 to Mark 5 dials. And I want to go into detail, just kind of, learning a little bit more about the Explorer myself as well, because I feel like I'm pretty undereducated on this model. And yeah, I just want to compare quickly to, say, your Watch Time magazines, your Hodinkee magazines, what we can pick up here in North America, and go into reasons why I think if you're visiting Japan, you should really pick up as many of these magazines as you can. I have 3 magazines here with me today. I brought home a lot more than these from Japan, but I feel like each of these encapsulate their subgenres perfectly for what you would be looking for in a magazine when you go shopping in Japan. This first one I want to share has the titanium Yachtmaster on its cover, the one that newly came out in 2024. For this type of magazine, and you'll be able to freely flip through them once you're at the stores there. They aren't plastic sealed or anything, so you can have a look inside. It talks about the watches that have recently launched this year. So for example, here's the titanium Yachtmaster. There are actual photos of the author or whoever is in charge of editorial having it on the wrist. So unlike your local Watch Time magazines here, it's not all just stock photos. Here's the Breitling that came out last year as well. And the beautiful, I guess, Coke or root beer Cartier that came out last year, the Santos. Here's the Bulgari on the side. So it goes into details about recent watch launches. You can find magazines with different calibers of watches. So for this one's probably more to the $10,000 to $30,000 range. I also saw magazines that talked about Citizens, G-Shocks that are usually around the $1,000 to $2,000 range. So it depends on what floats your boat. Aside from the models that came out as sort of like a yearly recap, it also features articles interviewing owners of watches. This magazine caught my eye when I saw it in Japan because the actor that was featured in it, this guy, I had saw him in the movie just very recently while I was still in Japan. The movie's called Tokyo Swindlers, and it has to do with a group of guys who swindle land out of common folk in Japan. It was very entertaining. I would recommend you guys to go check it out if you have a chance. But this guy played a minor role in the movie. I don't think he got paid a lot, that would be my guess. But he has a pretty solid collection of watches. You can see here, it's not anything mind-blowing, like he doesn't just have wads of cash to throw around. The magazine had him on an interview and went into detail about asking why he chose the watches that he had purchased, how he came across the hobby, and I don't think this one is his, but there's a lot of different interviews and talking to watch owners that these editorial staff do, and I think it's a lot more detailed than what we can find locally. I really enjoy reading through these. Of course, you'll have to use Google Translate if you don't speak Japanese like myself. Here's a pretty impressive collection. All the pre-ceramic Rolexes, sport models, you got two-tone Datejust, and then on this side, this is more of the common folk collection, I guess. I see the Tudors on the left side, so it makes it think this could be my own collection. You got the nice Tudor sub there. You got a Tudor Ranger, the older Ranger. You got a couple Seikos to the right. And I find it's very entertaining to use Google Translate to go through the details and understand why these people picked up specific watches that they now own in their collection. It's very much like A Man and His Watch, but instead of Nas and famous people that work in Hodinkee, Ben Clymer, it's actually interviewing, I guess, more common folk, or at least like shachos or presidents of companies in Japan. So it's quite entertaining to me. And if you're looking to pick up your next watch and you're wondering what type of people in what field, in what stage of the career, wear what type of watches, like obviously these ones, then I think you'll have a blast reading this type of magazine. I'll flip through the rest of it so you can get a quick glimpse of what's in there. Again, I don't know what the copyright rules of me showing Japanese magazines here in Canada is like, but I hope these videos don't get me in trouble. Here's a cool vintage Universal Genève. I don't know if you guys saw it in the news over the last couple of months in 2024, but the group that bought Breitling actually bought Universal Genève, and they're planning a revival of the brand. They released 3 models last year, each of them unobtainable. I think they're released in very limited quantities, and they're all like in the tens or thousands, I think like mid thousands to 20k plus range. Very beautiful though, and I'm excited to see what type of model and offering they come up with in 2026, I say. That's the year that they're planning to bring the catalog back. Typically, when you get to the end of a Japanese watch magazine, there's this type of content, like it's like a catalog of different stores. And my guess of why they're able to keep these magazines so cheap, I think this one's only 930 yen, 845 without tax, and that's like $8 to $9 Canadian. They're able to keep it so cheap, likely because it's subsidized by some of these stores that run their own ads in these magazines. Like for example, Okura. You guys have probably seen me at Okura when I was in Japan, or you probably know about Okura. They're one of the biggest retail franchises that sell secondhand watches. And they have a lot of inventory, as you can see. It's all different stores. This one's in Tokyo. I recognize those 2 characters. But with these catalogs, I actually don't mind them at all. I think it's kind of cool to see what the prices are like for specific models in certain periods of time. This magazine, for example, was published in September 2024. And you can see, for example, like this one, the Royal Oak Jumbo with the blue dial was going for about 100k Canadian. And maybe in the February version coming up, it might be like 110, 120, or even 90k. So it's quite cool to monitor the prices, and I think these catalogs are very tastefully done. It doesn't jump out at you like, buy this now, and it fits quite well into the overall theme of the magazine. I will say for myself that throughout my search for 126234, well, I didn't really search very hard because I'm trying to get it from the AD. These magazines have really helped me compare prices of what these watches are selling like on the secondary market, and as a result, helping me understand how hard it is really to get a hand on that specific Wimbledon Datejust 36 model. Now let's go into the second type of magazine I want to share with you guys. This type of magazine only contains information about Rolex, with maybe 1 or 2 Tudors as a consolation prize for those people that don't yet own Rolexes. Aside from that, it sticks very closely to the Hans Wilsdorf family, and it goes into detail about different launches throughout the year and also how the prices have fluctuated on certain models. For example, here's the Rolex GMT Master 2 with the Bruce Wayne bezel, both on the Jubilee and the Oyster bracelet. Here's the newly launched 1908, the Platinum version. You can see the beautiful case back picture here. And as I was mentioning, here's the Tudor Black Bay 58 GMT. The watch is still impossible to get here in Canada as of January 2025. And here's a very, very shiny bust-down Cosmograph Daytona. A couple more black bays to the left. Here's a price chart that they did on the Date Submariner. You'll see a lot of these price charts in Japanese magazines, and I really appreciate the effort that they go to in showcasing these secondary watch prices. I know for a fact that Watch Time completely omits secondary watch prices as a rule, likely because they work closely with a lot of the brands that they showcase, and brands tend to not like people talking about secondary watch prices all that much. Probably because it only tends to go one way. Here's a spread about the Submariner. You see they got the ceramic bezel version and also the pre-ceramic ones. I know I'm skipping through some of these. My apologies, guys. If you're looking for a specific model's graph and I skip through it, feel free to let me know in the comments and I can share that detail with you. Here are the beautiful trio of pre-ceramic GMT Master 2s, 16710. And here's a price chart of it compared to the ceramic lines. And here are some of my guilty pleasure GMT Master 2s. I can now say that it wasn't just a fad for me in Japan, and I still very much like these two-tone yellow gold, sometimes gem set professional divers from Rolex. Although, as I said before, I definitely need a couple more years and some more hair on my chest before I can pull these watches off. And the classic Rolex Explorer. This is a good segue for me to go into my next magazine, but I want to finish showing you this one first. Here are all the different models that Rolex currently offers. Well, minus the Milgauss, of course. So for example, the one with the GV glass with the electric blue dial was going for about 15,000 Canadian dollars at the time of this magazine's publishing, and the one with the GV glass with the black dial was going for around $13,300. Topic 2, I don't know what this means. Oh yeah, here's another price graph for you guys if you're interested. And I've gotten requests to show more Daytonas, so here's a spread of the price chart. I think this is the newest model because the bezel has that silver surround. I know they also did something to the subdials, but other than the bezel surrounds, it's pretty hard for me to tell. Here's the Kermit, GMT Master 2s, the Polar Explorer 2, the latest version 226570, and another Explorer 40. I think this is a pretty good time for me to jump over to the Explorer magazine, but I'll just quickly flip through the rest of this so you can see. Towards the back of the magazine is the catalog from different shops. This one is from... I actually don't know if this is commissioned by a store. Oh yeah, here, Quark. Another presentation by Quark of their catalog. And again, the ever beautiful Wimbledon Datejust. Although I think this one is the 41mm version. More price charts to the back. These ones are presented by 909 Salon. I haven't heard of that store. This one is again by Okura. This is the factory gem set Submariner known as the Sabre. It's going for $200,000 Canadian. Okay, and onward to our final magazine I want to show. Quick summary on these former two types of magazines before we jump into the Explorers. When I visited Japan, these magazines were a dime a dozen, and of all the bookstores that I visited, none of them had them wrapped in plastic seals, so I was able to flip through and see if the brands and the models interested me. However, with this next magazine, depending on what month of the year and what season you visit, they might not be readily available on shelves. This type of magazine are more difficult to find, and it's essentially an encyclopedia on a specific range of watches. As you can see, this one's done on the Rolex Explorer line. Admittedly, I haven't been the biggest fan of the Rolex Explorers. I think I know the reason why. Over the past 5 years, I've seen at least 3 Rolex Explorer 36s out here in the wild in Vancouver. And that's additional to the 2 of them that were offered to me by authorized dealers. Not directly, but indirectly from friends who were also on the waitlist for Submariners and Blue Dial Datejust 36s. It just feels like that watch that you're offered somewhere along your journey of lining up for a piece. And because of all of this, it has kind of lost its magic to me. It's all anecdotal evidence, I know, but you know, us Rolex fanboys, we only really like things that we can't get, and this is my honest truth of why I don't really feel that much of an attraction towards that model. Also, the Oyster Perpetual is like a whole $2,000 cheaper. With that being said though, I still want to educate myself on this line of watches because of its historical significance, and I think I'm warming up to it a lot more than I was before. All the articles in these magazines are going to be in Japanese, and that's what the sticky notes were for. I Google translated each of the excerpts in this article and learned about the different variations throughout the years. This model is the 14270 and has seen 4 different variations from the Mark 1 all the way to Mark 4. You can see that this issue features detailed photos of different things that you will be looking for to distinguish between the different versions. From the text stacking on the top to the bottom, And also the different dials. This one's saying that it's tritium, this one is luminova, and then super luminova. And then this part, it's talking about all the different Rolex Explorers throughout the years. Starting from the top, you have the Explorer 1 range from the 6350 from 1953 all the way to the latest model, the two-tone, actually the 40mm version, the 224270 is the latest Rolex Explorer model to have come out. On the bottom, you can see the Rolex Explorer 2s. The first ever Rolex Explorer 2 came out in 1971 and was designed for people exploring caves. That's why it's got the 24-hour indicator to tell people if it's day or nighttime. And then its version evolved throughout the years from the 16550, that sounds more correct. This is the version with the white gold surrounds on the indices, focus, before the black surrounds came out on the 16570. And then in 2011, they modernized the Explorer 2 with the maxi case, and then made some more minor changes to it in 2021. This spread is talking about movements. I will admit, as someone who has only recently found out to not put watches in supersonic cleaners, I don't know the most about movements, and as long as the watch is running under plus and minus 4 seconds a day, I don't really care too much about what the movement inside them are. But for those of you guys that's interested, here is the full spread. And of course, I made some notes at the top for what I consider to be the most important evolutions. And then this part is talking all about the bracelet. As you guys can probably tell by now, if you're in the market for a Rolex Explorer, having one of these magazines really helps for you to see what parts are period correct to your watch and to better know the date period of its production. After getting past the bracelet variations, we finally get to the entree. This is where every single one of the Explorer model is discussed in detail, with close-up images showing what the watches are supposed to look like and the different variations throughout the years. Here is the elusive 6610 Albino Explorer. I'll quickly flip through the rest of this. I haven't had the time to leave notes on all of the reference numbers just yet. Knowing myself, I'll probably put that off until I'm in the market for an Explorer. With that said though, I want to go to the back a little bit. This part is talking about the Rolex Explorer 2, which I think I'll have a better chance of picking up. This one, I want to show you guys this. This is the reference number 16550, and it's the most gorgeous Rolex Explorer 2 reference, in my opinion. It's got white gold surrounds instead of the modern black, and it looks timeless without feeling too vintage or dainty. The blacked out version also has the white gold surrounds, but you can't really tell that it's a 16550 because the 16570 also features white gold surrounds on the blacked out version. However, that doesn't seem to make black 16550s any cheaper, as they range from between 13,000 Canadian to 25,000 Canadian. And then moving on to the modern Explorer 2. I don't think you guys need this magazine to tell you all about the modern Explorer 2. There's way too many resources out there. And in typical Japanese watch magazine fashion, there's a built-in catalog in the middle of the booklet. It's got all the different models that, who is this? This is Cork. Again, it is Cork. It's got all the watches that they currently carry and the prices on them. Let's see if we can find a 126234. Here's the Oyster Perpetuals. It's probably somewhere here. There it is. Is this it? No, this is the one with the Oyster bracelet. We'll take it anyways. This watch is currently going for 14,000 Canadian dollars. Oh, here it is. I think I found it. Yeah, this is the one. So if you want it on a Jubilee bracelet with a fluted bezel, it's going to set you back by about 19,000 Canadian. Yeah, this is why I would much rather get it at retail instead of picking it up on the secondhand market. And if you've got a bigger wrist than mine, here's the price for it on a 41mm version. $23,000. This is definitely the more popular one. And towards the end, there's more price comparisons on different Rolex models. And that's it for the magazine. I hope I illustrated here why you should pick up as many of these as you can when you're in Japan. Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.